Some readers are mood readers. Other readers are planners. I'm definitely a planner most of the time, but plans don't always have to be set in stone. Hello, welcome to my channel. Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I want to talk about my mid-year book journey plans for 2025 and beyond. I have to do this type of video every few months just to get everything set in my mind because I plan so much that I always can't accomplish my plans, and new books arrive that I need to read, and every now and then a book has to be removed from my plans. So what am I going to be reading for the rest of 2025 and into the year 2026? Because yes, I do make plans that far in the future. July, I am going to be reading East of Eden by John Steinbeck. This is part of a group on Voxer and elsewhere. It's called The Summer of Steinbeck, or just Steinbeck is Awesome. It can be called either one. And this is where people are reading John Steinbeck books for this summer. I have already finished The Grapes of Wrath, and wow, what a fantastic book that was. But a lot of people say East of Eden is the better book. So now, after finishing The Grapes of Wrath, East of Eden is coming in, and those two books are going to duke it out to see which is the better book. I'm hoping for a tie, that they're equally good. I am going to be reading The Doll Who Ate His Mother by Ramsey Campbell. I have a print book that is coming my way. Bad is Rad found 2 copies of the book on the internet. She's keeping one for herself, and she's sending me one so we can buddy read this great debut novel by Ramsey Campbell. It gets some interesting mixed reviews. It is a debut novel, so some people find issue with it. Other people say it's a masterpiece. I don't know what it's going to be, but I will be finding out with Bad is Rad sometime in July. The picture that I showed is not the cover that I'm going to get. I can't wait to see what actually arrives at my doorstep. I will provide a link to my video for Rocket Summer. I'm reading a lot of books for Rocket Summer, but I don't need to repeat them here. On audiobook, I'm going to be finishing the Natchez Burning Trilogy by Greg Iles, and that is Mississippi Blood. I do not think you can pick up Mississippi Blood as an independent book because I think this Natchez trilogy is really one huge, ginormous novel divided up into 3 parts because publishers didn't want to publish something that long. We're really looking forward to it. It deals with white supremacy in the South and how vicious those people can be and what people need to do to overcome it. I really enjoyed the first 2 books of the trilogy. In August, I will be participating in GarbAugust 4, the final chapter, the great event created by that evil mastermind, Criminali, to get people to read trashy books. I'm going to show you a pile of possibilities. None of these books are set in stone yet. The Tower, a disaster book. Night of the Gila, a gunsmith naughty western book. Mickey Spillane, One Lonely Night, a Mike Hammer novel. Nick Carter, Run, Spy, Run. This is the first novel in the reboot of the Nick Carter series. This is rather salacious spy trash. Long Arm in the Sands of the Hill, another naughty western. The Cats by Nick Sherman, a killer animal book. It's tradition that I read a killer animal book for every GarbAugust. Spaceways 1 of Alien Bondage by John Cleave. This is actually the pen name of Andrew J. Offutt, who wrote standard science fiction, but this is a pornographic science fiction novel. Jailbait by William Bernard, Originally published in 1949, this is supposedly a salacious nonfiction account of juvenile delinquents. Lone Star and the Opium Rustlers, another naughty Western. Last but not least is Spur, Montana Minx, yet another naughty Western. Do you think I'll be reading naughty Westerns sometime in GarbAugust? I think so. This does not include any of the digital books that I'll be reading for GarbAugust. I'll give you a quick cover peek of one that I may read. That looks like pure, unadulterated trash. I wonder if it's any good. August is also the month for Faulkner in August. This is an event created by Brian at Bookish and Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and a few other people. I have been a co-host for a number of years, and we read a Faulkner novel every year. And this year is actually a collection of short stories or novellas. I have read the major novella in here, The Bear, when I was at university. It's a pretty good story. And I think this might be an excellent introduction to Faulkner if you have never tried Faulkner. The Bear contains some of Faulkner's signature stream of consciousness style. I really enjoyed it, but I haven't read it since the 80s. I will be doing a buddy read with Bad is Rad again, Ghouls by Edward Lee. Edward Lee is one of the splatterpunk authors. I believe he's very gory, kind of sexy, and he has really fantastic endings to his horror novels. This book scares the bejesus out of me. The Cantos of Ezra Pound. I'm going to be buddy reading this with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and Aaron Facer. Maybe a few other people are going to be joining this buddy read. But these poems are dense. They are complicated. I don't think I can get through reading these books without some sort of companion volume explaining what Ezra Pound was really trying to say. I may also go gaga on this book, and that is short for Greg Always Goes Away. Okay, I don't really go away that often on buddy reads, but I do sometimes. Will I go gaga on the Cantos, or will I get through it? This will be a read starting in August and going through December. I'll be listening to the audiobook Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the sequel to Children of Time. Children of Time is probably one of the best science fiction novels of the 21st century. I reread it in June, but I have never continued on with his other books in this trilogy. So I will be reading the second volume, or I should say, listening to the audiobook in August. September. For the third time, I'll be rereading J.R. by William Gaddis. This is becoming one of my favorite books. I listened to the audiobook while reading this book. I think this is a very good way to get through this very complicated novel. It is 770 pages long. It has no chapter breaks. It is about 92% unattributed dialogue. So the reader has to be paying very close attention. You can't let your mind slip at all with this book. But it is absolutely astounding. It is incredibly humorous. It is also very moving. In essence, it is a satire on American business. And American business has always been complicated. It has always been shady. This book was published in 1975, so maybe some of the business practices are a little bit out of date, or maybe not. Maybe businessmen really are that seedy and that shady. And it involves an eighth grader who sort of becomes a millionaire buying up failing companies that owe more money than they're making. But on paper, it looks like that eighth grader is a millionaire. This will be a buddy read with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. Anyone is welcome to join this buddy read. We will start in September and read about 250 pages, and then another 250 pages in October, and then end in November with the last 250 or probably 270 pages in November. Please join us. I think many people would like this book. Another reread for me will be Hard Rain Falling by Don Carpenter, a crime noir novel, described as a tough-as-nails account of being down and out, but never down for good, a Dostoevskian tale of crime, punishment, and the pursuit of an ever-elusive redemption. Essentially, this is the story of two hustlers in Portland who go through the trials and tribulations doing petty crimes and eventually going to jail. When I listened to the audiobook about 10 years ago, I was entirely captivated. I'm really eager to reread this. As a buddy read with Bad is Rad, I will be doing Sacrifice by Richard Kinion. Now, Richard Kinion is the pen name for Edward Lee. Bad is Rad and we like reading Edward Lee's novels. This is the story of a young woman named Alice, who I think gets possessed by an evil spirit. The group that read the novels of Claudio Pinheiro earlier in the year is reforming to read a different kind of book, The Angel of History by Rabih Alameddine. In essence, this book is about a gay poet that is haunted by war and the AIDS crisis in the sprawling fever dream of a novel. Set over the course of one night in the waiting room of a psych clinic, The Angel of History follows a Yemi-born poet named Jacob as he revisits the events of his life. This is sort of setup that can be utterly fantastic and captivating. It could also fall flat on its feet because it's very hard to do this type of story. But I'm really eager to find out how well this author does with this fantastic group of readers. October, Shadow Ticket by Thomas Pynchon. This will be a buddy read with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and anyone else who wants to join us. Shadow Ticket will be Pynchon's first published novel in 12 years since The Bleeding Edge. The story is set in Milwaukee, 1932, the Great Depression going full blast, repeal of Prohibition just around the corner. Al Capone is in the federal pen. The story will focus on Hicks McTaggart, a one-time strikebreaker turned private eye. So how will Thomas Pynchon handle a crime novel, a private eye novel? I'm eager to find out. With Bad is Rad, I'll be reading The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. This will be a reread for the both of us. I think this will be my fourth time with the book. I originally read it in high school when I was really rather young. I have listened to the audiobook twice. The audiobook is narrated by William Peter Blatty. He has a wonderful, gravelly voice that fits this text so perfectly. So this will be my fourth time with this book. Really looking forward to it again. November, a new project is forming. It will be called the John Irving Project or something like that. A group of people dedicated to reading some novels by John Irving. There will be myself, Ellen at Big Hard Books and Classics, Pat at Book Chat with Pat, and a number of other people, because we all like the novels of John Irving. We will be starting with his classic 1985 novel, The Cider House Rules. Set in rural Maine in the first half of the 20th century, it tells the story of Dr. Wilbur Larch, saint and obstetrician, founder and director of the orphanage in the town of St. Cloud's. It is also the story of Dr. Larch's favorite orphan, Homer Wells, who was never adopted. Wells also becomes a very, very famous abortionist. December, the John Irving Project will continue with Queen Esther, Irving's new novel. After 40 years, John Irving returns to the world of the Cider House Rules, revisiting the orphanage in St. Cloud's, Maine, where Dr. Wilbur Larch takes in Esther, a Viennese-born Jew whose life is shaped by anti-Semitism. With Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics, we'll be reading the horror novel The Elementals by Malcolm McDowell. It is a haunted house story set on the Gulf Coast of Alabama. If you have not read a Michael McDowell novel before, I encourage you to seek him out. His series of 6 books, the Blackwater series, is absolutely fantastic. It is a mixture of historical fiction and sea monster, or should I say, river monster. Really rather good. I have not read The Elementals yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And now on to 2026. Along with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and a few other people, we will be tackling Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon, covering January to February, because this is going to be a long and complex novel. I have listened to the audiobook alone a number of years ago, and this time I'll be reading the text while listening to the audiobook. This should be a fascinating reread. There are other group reads being planned. The Sea of Fertility by Yokoma Mishima, the quartet of novels translated from the Japanese. I have only read his novel, The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, which was a fascinating portrait of Japanese society. I don't know a whole lot about these books, but they're really well regarded by a number of people. So stay tuned if you want to read the series of 4 books. We will probably read 1 book per month. I don't know if we'll start it in January or maybe start it in March. Sort of leave Gravity's Rainbow to be read alone, or maybe read this in tandem with Gravity's Rainbow. I don't know yet. Stay tuned. In March, I will start reading A Table for Fortune by William Vollmann. I have pre-ordered the boxed set. It comes in 4 volumes, but is considered one novel that is 3,400 pages long. William Vollmann may be the most talented and ambitious writer in America today. He is not everyone's cup of tea, but I find him extremely fascinating. In essence, it is going to be a balcony-level history of the last half of American politics, war, and life. At once a family drama, Bildungsroman, and national epic. I don't know how long it will take me to read this book. William Vollmann cannot be read fast, and as I said, this novel is more than 3,400 pages long, so I may take it slow. Start in March and take a few months. That is everything that I have scheduled. There are a few things that are up in the air that may get read, may not. I'll hold them up. Radio Free Albemarle by Philip K. Dick. This is a novel that Dick wrote but never published. It is sort of considered a precursor to Valis. And here is Valis by Philip K. Dick. I want to do a read, probably 2 months long, where you read Radio Free Albemarle and then read Valis and see what Dick was trying to do in the first novel, but accomplished in the second. Valis is one of my favorite Dick novels. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This would be a reread for me. We're always talking about it. Wouldn't it be nice to reread this book, the great epic of magical realism in Latin America? Alan is always on my case to read the Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson, a trilogy of books that is freaky-deaky, all about conspiracies. Last but not least is Scar Lover by Harry Crews. Harry Crews is another favorite of Alan. I have read a number of Harry Crews books before. I quite enjoyed them, so I would be willing to pick this up and read it sometime in 2026, if there's time. Okay, that is my mid-year book journey plans for 2025 and beyond. My plate is full. It is really really full. If you think I'm just nuts to try to plan this all out, give me the crazy emoji or leave a comment. Thank you for watching and keep on reading.